Alright, the most boring ROM hack. This plays the game for you, but only if you want to play Runway, and only if you want to run to the end of the stage. Um, so there's not much it does. It just turns and then runs to the end of the runway. Um, all inputs are taking over. The only thing you can do is pause or hit the L trigger to abort. As soon as it gets to the end, it's going to restart, and it's going to keep doing this until you tell it to stop. So the idea is, there's no human variation. It will play the level over as accurately as possible to, minimize as much variation as possible. There's still quite a bit of variation for various reasons. As far as features go, you can select a weapon, and you can tell it to use the weapon. You can tell it to shoot the weapon. You can change the amount of look down or look up. Interp, we'll talk about that in a minute. The environment, you can change the near fog, far fog settings. This is every environment that's available in the game. You'll have to check the forum post for what these means. The alt and the multiple player stuff. But I thought this might be good to see the difference here. And then there's all the settings. Alright, so you change some stuff. You want to see what happens whenever, I don't know, there's no sound effects or you play with cinema. You're done. You need to quit out. You need to clean quit out to save it. At the end of the session, or whenever you quit out, you're going to get stats here. This is all the in-game options from the watch screen, music, sound effects. And at the bottom on the left there are the additional options set up for this run. Weapon fire, whether or not you're shooting the weapon, look down amount, insert, which we'll talk about, and the current environment setting. This is the settings that were loaded whenever you first started the session. So you can see it didn't take effect. The new settings I put in didn't take effect yet. On the right is the count is the number of runs that it successfully completed, the best and worst times, which is the min and max, and the average of all the times that it recorded. If for some reason it gets stuck and it can't finish the run, it will time out after about 50 seconds. The time is a bit weird, but 50 seconds, and it will count that as abort. I think, what did I do? Why is it looking up? Look up is 30 degrees, so I gave it a positive look up, which is why it's shooting up. Okay, if you pause, the run is over, so you're gonna have to kill it and start over. But it will go through that, and we'll let it finish and show you the stats for the new. Yeah, so you just restart it, and then it will go until you tell it to stop. So the interp setting, this is the way that the game calculates lag. There's a few different variables in decomp, speed graph, G clock timer, and so this sets the base value speed graph. Interp is setting the speed graph value that is used to update everything else throughout the main boss loop. Okay, so we'll say how many frames were skipped. 2 frames were skipped. All right, we're going to make 2 adjustments whenever we do the movement, or 2 adjustments whenever we return what you're looking at, or 2 adjustments whenever the guard has to step. So that's what interp is. That's how the game deals with lag. So if you set that to a value greater than 1, it's going to force it to be that many steps. 1, maybe I should have changed this, but 1 is just the default value. So if there's lag frames in this run, it will let those go through as it normally would. Okay, so that's one cause for variation. 2, I really have no idea. I guess that's kind of why I'm making this video, get some feedback from people, right? There is a fair amount of variation, and I've done my best to minimize it. I cut out all the other cinemas, I cut out guards, I cut out, not all the props, but I cut out doors and the drones. So there's really not much happening in the run. Okay, it's going to be Bond shooting the weapons and or just looking around, really. That's the only thing that's happening. So I've tried to minimize variation as much as possible, but there's still a bit of variation. So let's cut this out and see. And so 4 runs, and what is that? 0.07 seconds difference between the 4 runs, between the top, best, and worst times. So yeah, let this run for a few hundred count, get a good average that will minimize the noise, and hopefully you can find some useful information. Have fun.